Disney cancels another Ray movie? What the fuck? When are they gonna stop making Ray movies and canceling them?
Daisy Ridley seemingly has quit Star Wars and officially has moved on. We have this report right here. More bad news for Rey's Star Wars movie. Daisy Ridley claims new action thriller. So the Star Wars New Jedi Order, or Episode 10, or whatever people are calling it, is no longer happening. A Deadline just reported that Daisy Ridley will be starring in a new action thriller called The Good Samaritan. I mean, even the movie kind of seems cringe, but at the very least, I can tell you the synopsis. It's like this. When successful entrepreneur Dr. Rosalind Carver, which is Daisy Ridley, and her husband Matt rescue a wounded man drifting off the coast of Indonesia, they believe they're saving a life, not stepping into a deadly conspiracy, blah blah blah. This officially means, ladies and gentlemen, that neither 2025 nor 2026, when the Rey movie, when the new Jedi Order movie will begin or ever begin filming. Do not let them manipulate you. Remember, a year ago, they started reporting that in 2025, winter 2025, then they moved it to spring 2026 is when the new Jedi Order will start filming. Nah, nothing like that is happening anymore, because filming for this movie, The Good Samaritan, where Daisy Ridley is off to, will begin filming spring 2026. So apparently she will be slammed throughout the whole year 2026 with this movie, and it's done. We had Lucasfilm, we had Kathleen Kennedy not say anything during Star Wars Celebration a couple of months ago. So basically they left her out in the sun, because it's clear Disney wants a more male-centric audience. So now it's become apparent. Rumors are swirling from inside Disney and Lucasfilm that the reason why Star Wars Starfighter is such a male-dominated movie, Ryan Gosling being the leading actor,
I still think it's weird having Ryan Gosling in Star Wars. That's so strange.
Smith, the supporting actor. They just released this screenshot with Flynn Gray and Ryan Gosling. Insiders are saying that this is how they pivot to a more male-dominated cinematic features, because as it pertains to theaters, the sequel trilogy had a female lead with Rey. Now they want more male-dominated movies like Mandalorian and Grogu. That's a male-dominated movie. Now Starfighter as well. Of course, let's not forget about the reports that Disney...
It's so fucking stupid. Why are they so focused on what the gender of the character is? Like, you can have a female lead, just make them a good character. I don't get what their obsession with this is. And now they're like, oh, we're gonna purposely make Star Wars male again. Like, who the fuck cares? There might be a few YouTubers that might actually be sexist that care way too much. But that's not the majority of fucking normal-ass human beings that are gonna go watch these movies.
Is desperately trying to bring back the male audience that they kind of lost with not only Star Wars, but with Marvel and all the things in between that they tried to bring in more female viewers. Now that seemingly it kind of failed, they want the Gen Z males to come back to Marvel and Star Wars. How do they do this? Well, I
don't really get why they tried to cater to women in the first place, because not a lot of women are into Star Wars. That's just how it is. That's just how it's always been. So, like, why try to cater to the lowest majority of people that are fans of this franchise? It doesn't make any sense. Like, you can have a good female character. We've seen that time and time again. We know Ahsoka, Sabine's a good female character. Princess Leia, Padme, even the fucking decoy queen in Star Wars Episode 1 was good. What's the lady's name? Not Sabine, Bo-Katan was good. Bro, even the person that they fired, because she came out as right-wing or something like that, from The Mandalorian, she was a good female character. Like, I don't know what their issue is here. It doesn't make any sense.
Guarantee you that they can't do it with another Rey trilogy. By what we saw in Star Wars Celebration 2025 in Japan, Kathleen Kennedy, although reveals that lacked any Daisy Ridley updates, coupled with Fantastic Four kind of flopping in the box office, and Bob Iger literally coming out, giving out a statement regarding this, gives me a clear path for the Daisy Ridley movies, the new Jedi Order movie, and apparently it is slowly being
Disney replaces a Star Wars movie with Ice Age 6. Fuck.
cancelled as with other projects.
Hello there.
Hello there, folks.
What?
Welcome. Today I want to convince you 100% that they are no longer moving on with any new Jedi Order or new anything projects. If you get a new in your title, people are not going to be interested. People are not interested in classic characters like the Fantastic Four and like Superman. So you go to the box office right now and you see a mediocre
Holy shit. They only made 11.7 million on its second Friday? Oh no. I didn't know it was that bad. Oh. All I'll say about the movie is it was decent, but I'm glad I didn't waste money to go see it in the theaters. Don't hate me. I just didn't think it was that good of a movie. I certainly would say that the first Fantastic Four movie was the best one. Still. I don't care that the thing is comic accurate if it's not a good movie.
like Superman. So you go to the box office right now and you see a mediocre showing of fandom. So fans are going the first opening weekends, giving their money, and then weekend 2 comes by and just it's a steep drop off. So basically what's happening is that fans literally, as we've talked about for years and years, showing their frustration and complaints with their own wallets. And this, guys, if you look at it, has kind of been made clear with Star Wars Celebration 2025. So in that celebration, what did we get? We got some guests that we've seen before, some new guests, most notably Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling. They showed the new logo and talked about Star Wars Starfighter, a movie that is going to be coming out very soon after Mandalorian and Grogu. So Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, all of them talked about what
the most random Star Wars project that they've ever had. Possibly even more random than the Rangers of the Old Republic or whatever the fuck
we expect from Mandalorian and Grogu. I've said previously that we have a schism in Lucasfilm between Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni. So what's Dave Filoni doing? Dave Filoni is taking the canon that was previous to Disney. So the canon, the EU of George Lucas and him. Don't forget that Dave Filoni was the guy who ingratiated all the Legends material back into canon with his show Star Wars Rebels, with The Mandalorian now. So a lot of stuff has made it into canon thanks to Dave Filoni. What has Kathleen Kennedy done? Kathleen Kennedy, as I understand their roles right now, she is only looking for new opportunities to work with new directors. She said this in an interview herself. She said that we're in a perfect position to just lend out the Star Wars IP to anybody who has a story to tell. I'm interested in working with those people creating new projects.
What?
She's literally...
This is an uncommon opinion. I think it's a good idea. You need to find people that are passionate about the franchise. You don't need to be trying to, they don't know what they're doing with Star Wars. So don't keep trying to make things and force them to work and then be mad at the fans when they don't work. Find somebody who's actually passionate about the source material and have them make a project.
telling you
Please.
why the fans are so frustrated today, because you have a schism. You have Dave Filoni, who is respecting what is there and trying to expand on it. There is a lot of material. If it wasn't, how could Dave Filoni have come up with The Mandalorian? How can he and George have come up with The Clone Wars? This is a totally different genre outside of the movies. And now he is making his first own movie in Mandalorian and Grogu. So expanding on an original idea, but in-house, not going outsourcing out of it. New original ideas that basically will just tarnish Star Wars. It has been already proven that the true fans of Star Wars were the original ones who worked at Lucasfilm with George Lucas closely. These are passionate fans that want to create and expand Star Wars, while all these other types like J.J. Abrams,
or like the YouTubers out there like Star Wars Theory that love this franchise, and they love it so much that they're willing to spend their own money to make something that they'll make no return on. Like the Vader series that Star Wars Theory is doing. He is legally not allowed to make any money, but he will spend millions of dollars of his own money to make this project. And they just act like Disney acts like these people don't exist. Like, you could get a lot of ideas from him if you would just talk to him. And then he like calls you out on things that are stupid because they're dumb. Like, why did you do that? These ideas that you come up with aren't good. Talk to somebody who knows the franchise. Don't just like try to push your own ideas into a franchise that's been set. It's been the same way for years, and then they try to change it, and then it doesn't work, and they get mad and call the fans that don't like the new project racist and homophobic just because they don't like politics being thrown down their throats. It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
We know the nightmare
Talk to
fuel
people
that
who
they
know
brought into
stuff
Star
about
Wars. It
this.
wasn't a collaborative effort at all. They just did what they wanted, and the sequel trilogy, as a result, suffered so badly that it's incoherent. If you go back and watch the sequel trilogy, it's an embarrassment. It's just an embarrassment. There's nothing more to add or to say to that. So let's set aside the fact that Kathleen Kennedy doesn't understand how to move on in the future with Star Wars. Now we have the diminishing returns of Fantastic Four and kind of Superman. The Superman movie is okay, is doing okay in the box office, but it wasn't what, the first movie in your relaunched franchise was supposed to be. It definitely is not going to be a billion-dollar movie, which these studios have come accustomed to being. Alright, so Bob Iger just recently...
Well, I don't know what they really expected with Superman. Like, they started with Man of Steel back in the day, and then they made a whole cinematic universe, which they rushed the fuck out of. And then it crashed and burned. So now they're trying to redo that same type of cinematic universe. I feel like you don't need DC to be exactly like the MCU. It shouldn't ever be like that. And at least if they wanted to do it that way, they should have taken like 5 years like the MCU did to build it up and make it make sense. But they didn't do that. They made like the second or third movie be the big team up movie, and it's like, why would you do that? There was 6 movies in the MCU before the Avengers? Like, that's a lot more drawn out. And they were releasing like one per year at that point.
came out in regards to the Fantastic Four movie and it not doing so well, he was kind of forced to come out and say, the more we can find and develop original property, the better. Of course, we are developing original property under the 20th Century banner and under the Searchlight banner, and look, you could even argue that Marvel continues to mine its library of characters for original property. Even though, for instance, there have been Fantastic Four movies before, we kind of consider the one we did an original property in many respects, because we're introducing these characters to the people who are unfamiliar with them. Fantastic Four First Steps successfully launched this important franchise into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Classic Bob Iger, baby, a nothing burger. He didn't really say a lot, but if you read between the lines, this is what he is saying. So the Fantastic Four First Steps did. He is right. It did successfully launch. As I said in the beginning of the video, this is an illusion. What is happening now is that these are no longer pop culture movies, and we're getting to the basics of the problem. I don't think they can ever go back to that because the leadership lacks in imagination and they can't understand what the problem is. Why aren't people flocking to it? Marvel movies and Star Wars movies especially have completely lost their mojo. It's gonna be really interesting to see what Dave Filoni does with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, because let's not forget, in 2026, when Mandalorian and Grogu comes out, it's gonna be, since 2019, it's gonna be 7 years since a Star Wars movie was released.
You want to know how checked out I am with the Mandalorian franchise after season 3? I haven't even watched the trailer for the movie. It came out like, I think, multiple months ago at this point. I haven't watched it. And I'm not really excited to watch it either. That's the weird thing. Is I love The Mandalorian, season 1 and 2. Season 3 was horrible. Like, Ahsoka season 1 was good enough. And The Acolyte was horrible except for one episode. So it's like, what do I really have to be excited for? Like, I'm hoping that the movie is good when it comes out, but I'm not really counting on it, considering the track record. Like, they made two good seasons of television, and then one shitty one, and then they made a bunch of series after that that weren't good. So, like, where do I have any faith that they'll fix that? Not really, no. They've kind of lost my trust at this point.
If we compare Revenge of the Sith, for example, with The Force Awakens, that's 10 years, from 2005 to 2015. It's kind of there. It's kind of in that area. Not 10 years, but 7 years is a good enough gap with no movies in the theater. So let's see what The Mandalorian and Grogu does before we judge what Star Wars come back. The problem is that even if The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out, Kathleen Kennedy being still there, she is planning to do all sorts of non sequitur movies. Movies that go back 25,000 years at the beginning of the Jedi Order, while Dave Filoni is making movies after Return of the Jedi. It's completely baffling to me how there's no connectivity. It's just a mishmash of movies. Whoever wants to come and do whatever they like, and this is my frustration right now. But I think this idea might have finally been scrapped thanks to Bob Iger coming out and literally acknowledging a kind of a stumbling. He is trying to save face, saying that there have been Fantastic Four movies in the past. Maybe that's why this was a successful launch, but it's not going to be the biggest Marvel movie in the
I don't know, like, I feel like Star Wars doesn't need to be a cinematic universe like the MCU. Like, stop trying to make Star Wars into Marvel. Full stop. I don't want to see that. I don't want that. Like, it was cool enough seeing Ahsoka appear in The Mandalorian and then The Mandalorian appearing in Boba Fett and Qui-Gon Jinn coming in to Obi-Wan and Princess Leia being an Obi-Wan. It was cool enough, but like that doesn't need to be the only thing that we do all the time, you know? Anyways, let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and like and subscribe. I'll see y'all later. See y'all later.